This is a blank page. I draw some lines on the page, and it is no longer blank. The more I draw, the more there is to see, more and more detail, more and more complexity. But as I continue, there comes a point at which drawing more stops adding detail and starts to remove it. As I fill the page completely, it becomes blank once again, nothing to see. Yet it is not simply blank, it is both empty and it is full. Consider the patterns I can make by joining up these dots. If I add more dots, I can make more patterns. Now, if the field of dots were infinitely dense, would I be able to make all possible patterns, or no patterns at all? And how would I identify these patterns? Would I discover them, or would I create them? If you follow this line of thought, you will quickly realize that we can neither perceive nor can we define any difference between pure presence and pure absence. Let me ask you this: what does this word mean? Are there any words that this word does not describe? And if a word meant all things, would it mean anything at all? Don't words have meaning insofar as they don't mean all things? How about this? If I believe everything, do I also believe nothing? If everything is special, is nothing special? Now, obviously, nothing and everything are opposites, but they do not have opposite structures because they have no structure. They are opposite in a deeper sense that isn't very easy to describe. When we usually talk about opposites, we are talking about oppositions in appearance, and being requires a certain appearance, for it must be distinguished from non-being. Allow me to illustrate with another example. There are 4 different properties that define the notion of mathematical sign: negative versus non-negative, and positive versus non-positive. The positive and negative have opposite structures, since negating them reverses their sign. But there is no difference in structure between the neither sign and the both sign, since the negation of something neutral is still neutral. What this diagram expresses is the relationship between form and formlessness, the something and the no-thing. And if we take the 2 aspects of the formless and split them into their component parts, these parts can recombine to form the 2 aspects of the formed. It is my conjecture that the development of our very reality is based on this idea. The positive and the negative represent what we experience as objective and subjective respectively. The ultimate nature of reality is beyond characterization. It is every quadrant, and it is no quadrant at once. The evolution of intelligence separates the nothing and the everything, the emptiness of the bottom of reality and the fullness of the top. And in their separation emerges the distinction between the subject and the object, the 2 sides of the separation of the bottom and the top. Intelligence is the spell of separation, and experience is the relativization of the absolute, the goal of which is to comprehend the incomprehensible. Nothing is truly lost nor gained, nothing created nor destroyed. The infinitely empty fullness is merely configured to appear finite by itself. Everything positive, everything verifiable through evidence and through matter, is only positive insofar as it has been severed from the negative, from that which is falsifiable through logic and through concepts. But falsehoods are just as real as truths, and the mind is just as real as matter. Philosophical dichotomies like idealism and materialism are not opposite in the deepest sense, they are merely opposites in form. In the deepest sense, they are the same, for they are each as biased towards one side of experience as the other. One is carved out, the other is built up, but their union returns us again to nothing.